Shalom, peace. You see that, folks? It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's the destruction of Babylon. But not only Babylon, which is the U.S., for those of you who don't know, but also the Gentile nations and those who are with them also are going to be destroyed. And look how they titled this article, U.S. aircraft carrier in Vietnam for historic visit. You know, they're trying to make it as though it's something grand. We're making history, you know. This is a good occasion. No, it's your doom. That's what it is. You're biting off more than you can chew, America. So it says, for the first time since the end of the Vietnam War, more than 4 decades ago, a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier has arrived in the country. So, what do you already see here? You know, it's a U.S. aircraft carrier, you know, a warship, and the last time it arrived was during the Vietnam War. So they're already showing you signs. There's already signs. War. So last time they visited, it was war with Vietnam. Now they're supposed to be buddy with Vietnam. And who are they aimed at? They're aimed at China. So China is building in the South China Sea, and Vietnam is against it, as well as the Philippines. So it says Vietnam is among the claimants that had stood up most publicly against China. So Vietnam is against China doing that. China, they're still remaining to build, and as they say, they're flexing their muscles. And the U.S. shows up in Vietnam, you know, sort of what it is, a challenge at China, saying, hey, we're with Vietnam, you better stop it, China. China also told Vietnam to stop drilling on the Vanguard Bank, which is supposed to belong to the Vietnam under international law, but China says that's part of its territory. In Vietnam, they back down under pressure from China, so China's still flexing its muscles. Vietnam, they tell its fellow Asian, that's how it's spelled, ASEAN, all in bold caps, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, nations to take a stronger stance against China in the South China Sea, though the body has largely chosen not to forcefully challenge China. So nobody wants to challenge China, so they can tell their fellow nations, you know, but they're not dumb enough to get together to challenge China. But guess who is? The U.S. The U.S. is dumb enough to challenge China, as they are dumb enough to challenge Russia. So the big bad USA shows up with the USS Carl Vinson, anchored 2 nautical miles off the port city of Da Nang. And again, with these names, I might not pronounce them right, but who cares? Which was a key battleground during the war that ended in 1975. There's war again, and they show right at the battleground that they're saying, our nation's relationship has reached new heights in the past few years, and the USS Carl Vinson port visit to Vietnam is a reflection of that. I see. But it seems more like you just want to bully China. It has nothing to do with your relationship other than you're saying, hey China, we're against you, we're going to attack you, you better stop that, because we're so big and bad. But like I said, they already picked a fight with Russia. So Israel, Netanyahu, the false Jerusalem, Netanyahu, he went and launched a strike on Syria. As I mentioned in my previous video, he launched a strike on Syria for blowing down one of his fighter jets, and he knew from the start that Russia was behind it, because Syria doesn't even have military capabilities to even detect his stealth fighter jet, but Russia does. So Russia gave the orders to Syria, or the permission, and helped them out detecting the fighter jet to blow it down. But Netanyahu, he goes and strikes Syria, and Iran targets in Syria, but he does nothing to address Russia because he's a coward. However, the US, knowing all this, they go and say, hey, we're back in Israel. You know, we got Israel's back. The false Jerusalem's back. So you're going against China, and now you're going against, you're going against Russia, and now you're going against China, and you already have troops on the ground in Syria fighting ISIS supposedly, which is just the US. How many troops do you have? Like, you're biting off more than you can chew. You don't have that much firepower and that much troops. So you look at this map, and you look at how large Russia is in comparison to the US, and then now you add China with that against the US. Now the US, they have allies, right? They have NATO, and they have support from, of course, NATO, many other countries. You got Israel backing them. Oh, they're big and bad. Canada possibly backing them. Australia, Germany, France, Italy, Japan, Jordan, New Zealand, Poland, Saudi Arabia, Spain, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, and possibly Turkey. But, the thing is, you can have all those allies, but China and Russia, they're not alone. They also have their allies. So you got China opposing you. You got Russia to worry about, of course, the two major. You got Indonesia, Iran, Syria, Afghanistan, Bolivia, Cuba, North Korea, Sudan, Syria, and these are Russia's allies. So let me put it like that. Russia allies, I'm listing right now: Afghanistan, Bolivia, Cuba, North Korea, Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Kyrgyzstan, I think how you say it, Nicaragua, I don't know how to say these names, and then there's China, and of course China is not without its allies, which China is an ally, or Russia is an ally with China, and also North Korea, and then Central Asia, Africa is an ally, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan. So you add all these things, so you add Russia, China, and all their allies that's backing them against the US and their allies. And I'm sorry, US, you're not looking like you have the troops. But the thing is, you have your so-called allies, but the thing is, they're gonna turn their back on you. So how do we know this? Well, let's go to our book of guidance. That's why it's there. a book of guidance. Let us know things. So Jeremiah 51, we're going to read from verse 1 to verse 9. See, I will stir up the spirit of a destroyer against Babylon, the U.S., and the people of Leb Kamai. And again, I don't know how to pronounce this. It doesn't matter. I will send foreigners to Babylon to winnow her and to devastate her land. They will oppose her on every side in the day of her disaster. Let not the archer string his bow, nor let him put on his armor. Do not spare her young men, completely destroy her army. They will fall down slain in Babylon, fatally wounded in her streets. See, things are not looking good for you, U.S. Babylon. For Israel and Judah have not been forsaken by their God, the Lord Almighty, though their land is full of guilt before the Holy One Israel. Flee from Babylon. Run for your lives. Do not be destroyed because of her sins. It is time for the Lord's vengeance. He will repay her what she deserves. Babylon was a gold cup in the Lord's hand. She made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank her wine. So, you know these Gentiles, they spread their corruption far and wide throughout the earth. Everyone's a whore following, fornication and anything they see on TV or anything other people are doing that's, forbidden by the Most High. Therefore, they have now gone mad. Babylon will suddenly fall and be broken. See? Suddenly fall and be broken. The U.S. So how can the U.S. possibly win? They're not going to win. They're biting off more than they can chew, like I said. We know the end for Babylon is destruction, and well, we're in the end. So Babylon will suddenly fall and be broken. All of a sudden. Well over her. Get balm for her pain. Perhaps she can be healed. And this, what I believe to be the allies, the U.S. allies, we would have healed Babylon, but she cannot be healed. Let us leave her and each go to our own land. So the U.S. allies, when Babylon is down, when the U.S. gets attacked, when, they're getting all wiped out, the nations, they're not going to continue to keep fighting, as in, we're going to destroy Russia. Look what they're doing to the U.S. They're our buddies. No. Let us leave her and each go to our own land. For her judgment reaches to the skies. It rises as high as the heavens. So you can have your allies. But the thing is, like I said, look how large Russia and China is. So they got nuclear capabilities as well as North Korea. Then they send all the nukes over here to United States of America, Babylon. How many nukes do they have? Well, as large as they is, and how large is their army? And they attack America all at once. Then the Babylon, she's gonna be devastated. Then their so-called allies, they're gonna turn their back on you. And what is the U.S. doing? Well, they're doing what they're told to do in the other Gentile nations as well. They're doing what they are told to do in Joel 3. We're going to read verse 9 through 17. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare for war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. What are they? Weak. They're going up against the Most High, and they actually think, that they're gonna come through. They're weak. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So it's a mockery, You're saying, you're the weak. You're saying you're strong and powerful. You're acting as though you're some type of god, or you are gods, and you're mighty, But the Most High is telling you to prepare for war. Assemble all your mighty people that you say is mighty. Let the weak say they're strong. Assemble yourselves and come round about. And what are they doing? They're doing exactly as they're told in these verses right here. Job 3, verse 9 through 11. They're being good little doggies. And let's go on further. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. What do you think they are? They're in the valley of Jehoshaphat. And I'm not talking about the South China Sea. I'm talking about Russia, U.S., and China, all the nations gathered in Syria, which the valley of Jehoshaphat, right there. For there will I sit to judge all the heathens round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision. So they're in the valley of decision, the valley of Jehoshaphat. The Most High is judging them. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And, it says their wickedness is great, so their judgment is not going to be good. It's going to be destruction, of course. The sun and the moon shall be darkened. And as I just put out in my last video, with the first trumpet and the second trumpet, first trumpet being the sea, a third of the animals of the sea dying, the next trumpet being wormwood coming down and making the water bitter and killing many men. We see both of those happening with the flu and Fukushima. And the next trumpet, it said that a third of the sun and a third of the moon will be, and a third of the stars will be darkened, and they will be darkened, and a third of the day without light, and a third of the night as well. And that's the fourth angel sounded the fourth trumpet, and this can be found in Revelations 8, verse 6 through 12 is the trumpets. So we got right here in Job 3, verse 15, the sun and the moon shall be darkened. So that's on the next trumpet that's going to be sounded. So we know that's the next step. They're already in the valley of decision. We have the other two trumpets sounded, and we see it happening. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining, just like in Revelations. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel. So shall ye know that I am the Lord your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall be no strangers to pass through her any more. So you already have them in the valley of decision, and like I keep mentioning, you have those two trumpets, the one with wormwood, which is the second trumpet, or the third trumpet. The third trumpet, killing off many people, being passed as a flu epidemic, and you have the one prior about the water, the sea creatures. It's killing off a third of the sea. You have that trumpet that already happened, and that was just yesterday or the day before yesterday. I just did a video about it. More died off. Previously there was already those die-offs, but you have those two trumpets, and you have them in the valley of decision. So as I said, what's next? It's the darkness. As it says right here in Job 3, verse 15, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And again, yeah, I know I'm repeating myself, but it needs to stick in. Revelations 8, verse 12, the fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that the third of them turned dark. A third of the day was without light, and also a third of the night. Or also a third of the night. So that means the Most High, He's already in the valley of Jehoshaphat, judging them. So the Most High is here already in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Not that He ever left. He's present at every moment, but He's decided in the valley of Jehoshaphat right now. And after this comes the darkness. And then what happens after the darkness? Well, in Revelations 8, verse 13. As I watched, I heard an eagle that was flying in mid-air call out in a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because of the trumpet blast about to be sounded by the other three angels." So the next three trumpets after this darkness, it's woe. It's woe right now. It's crucial. So make sure you have yourself straight with the Most High, and make sure you're ready for what's about to go down. Not that we ever can be ready, but the closest we can be to ready is not sinning and having a good relationship with the Most High. So either you're gonna take all this in, you're gonna see the signs and you're gonna do something about it, or you're gonna keep on remaining in denial, which is not the smart choice. So get your life straight. This is your final warning.